Hi, John Jesse with the Health Continuum here, and I have a question. Do you really want to improve your health this year? Well, hey, no need to answer because I already know the answer. For each and every one of you, it's yes, yes, yes. So just give me less than 15 minutes of your time right now to help you to begin to do just that. Not selling any miraculous program or product. They don't exist. It's just people trying to take your money, capitalizing on the desire we all have of wanting to improve our health. What I do have for you is something which is rare these days, the truth about how you really can improve your health. So stay with me and start to change your life today. Or wanting more than ever right now to do something to get healthier. I've seen it firsthand. I taught spin classes and did personal training for over a decade, and every January, those who attended my classes, the regulars, would be all upset because we had all these new people taking up space. Sadly, all the new people will be gone in a couple of weeks, save maybe one or two here and there that we managed with much effort to snag and make a part of our workout family. Now, these folks genuinely wanted to make a change, but after a couple of weeks, they were done. You see, it was just too much. And they ended off worse than they were before because now they had this added burden and weight of another failure to try to change their health, which pushes them further away from making a change in their lives. And they basically ended up less healthy than they were before they started. Sad. Same thing with those who undertake a total change in their eating, thinking, this is the year, I'm going to do it. And then they end up in the same place as the gym folks, worse off than they were before they started. We don't want you to do this year. So let's talk about how you can approach it in a way that you can be successful. That's what you want, right? Success, of course. What these people at the gym and those that totally changed their eating did wrong is they tried to change too much all at once. So the first principle you need to follow is one change, one change. You could even say one small change. You see, most people, almost all people, are really only able to handle emotionally and physically one change at a time. You put more in, and at some point, the pressure becomes too much, more than they can handle. It's too hard, and things just come crumbling down, and then you got to deal with all that mess. You're worse off than before, less healthy. So one change. Now, let's talk about how you can decide what that change might be that you're going to make starting today. What has the most impact on your health? Your genetics, your age? Wouldn't it be great if we could change those? But we can't, even though they do have a big impact on our health. So we need to ask, what has the most impact on your health that you are in control of? I list 7 of these in my book, The Health Continuum. It's listed in the show notes. But for this discussion, let's narrow it down to these 3 that you can control and that you can change. Sleep, physical consumption, that's everything you eat and drink, and physical activity, movement, exercise. Because one of these will most likely give you the biggest bang for your buck. What you're looking for is to identify the change that you're able and willing to make right now that will give you the most improvement in your health. Let me give you an example from each of these 3. Sleep. Now, please note that improving your sleep will most likely improve movement. After a good night's sleep, you'll have more energy during the day to exercise. Improved sleep can also decrease cravings for unhealthy foods. So improving one can improve another. It's a synergistic improvement. But the opposite's also true. Sleep poorly and you don't feel like moving the next day. Eat poorly and it can mess up your sleep. Improving sleep can be straightforward. Going to bed at the same time each night is critical. Ending eating a few hours before bed. Eliminating caffeine late in the day. Eliminating screen time close to bedtime. Doing a few minutes of focused breathing. All these changes, any of them, could help improve your sleep. But you need to identify the one thing. Warning, the tendency is to think, I can do all of these and really improve my sleep. Well, then most likely you will end up like the people at the gym and quit after a week or two. Too big a burden to carry. Start with one, something you are able and willing to do right now. Be honest with yourself. Able and willing. You can eventually do them all. That would be great. You could even write them down now, all the things that you want to change, to add, or to eliminate, and make a nice list. Now, you need to remember it is always easier to start to do something than to stop doing something. Consider that as you choose. But choose the one that you think will give you the most improvement in your health right now. Well, what if that one change you would give you the most improvement in your health right now, you're not realistically willing and able to do it right now? Well, then set it aside and choose the next best one. You focus on the one until it doesn't take any emotional energy to do it anymore. Night screen time. Wow, it's not even an issue anymore. I don't even think of it's part of me. I just do it. You don't even think about it. It's part of you. Then, and only then, would you be ready to go to your next item on the list. Might be physical consumption. That's everything you eat and drink. Now, there's two basic consumption issues: quality, the types of food and drink, and quantity, how much you consume. And they're synergistic too, as the type of food you consume can have a big impact on how much you eat. I understand the challenge here, as I've never met a chip I didn't like, and I have the appetite of a 10-foot, 300-pound giant. We all have consumption issues and challenges of some kind or another. So where do you start? Maybe you decide you want to stop eating 3 hours before bed. That's one change that could impact both quality and quantity. Great. Or maybe you're drinking lots of something that is not water. In my book, I suggest water should be your drink of choice. Don't drink your calories, which includes fake sugar, even though they don't have calories, because they can be worse than sugar-laden calories. There is some great new research on that one too. I'll have an episode on that later this year. So your one change could be you're only going to drink water, except for maybe an exception or two you define, like a cup of coffee in the morning. Now, an exception can help it be a more realistic goal. So that's all right. You focus on that change until it becomes part of you, until you don't have to think about it or have to use emotional energy to make it happen every day, like brushing your teeth, just happens. Then you'll be ready for the next change. And maybe it'll be a physical activity. Yeah, your one thing could be to start going to spin class, but only if you're able and willing right now. Now, those folks who came to my class in January that dropped out after just a few weeks, they weren't ready to get to the gym by 5:30 a.m. and drive their body hard for an hour until they're almost ready to drop. That class was designed to be the toughest of all the classes they offered at the gym. It was just too much for these folks. They weren't ready. And it didn't work, though they were sincere in their desires. What are you ready for right now? Could be spin class, or maybe it could be establishing the habit of daily movement. You decide you're going to walk 10 minutes each day right after one of your meals. Health alert, extra bang for your buck here, because moving right after you eat does great things. And you only have to move a few minutes to get the benefits. We'll address that in the research and the specifics in another episode. Well, would that change, walking 10 minutes each day, improve your health? Absolutely. And once that daily movement habit is in place, you can decide what to do next. Maybe an addition or upgrade to that movement. Walk 20 minutes, or do some air squats after you walk, or, I don't know, sleep, consumption, movement. Which strand, which change? Let me stop and explain the term strand. So in the book, my book, The Health Continuum, is where I present this framework for analyzing where you're at and what to do next and how to improve your health. So the continuum, think of it as like a rope with strands. And on one end of the continuum is perfect health, and on the other end is death. Well, one of those strands that we can't change, age, is what it's balancing on. And as age slowly moves, it tilts the strand towards, death. And then, of course, genetics is one of the strands which you can't change. But the others, all the others, response to stress, emotional consumption, risk management, hygiene, sleep, physical consumption, physical activity, the three that we're talking about today, they all interact, and you have a position on each of those. You don't change all of them at once. You change one at a time. And as you change one, you change sleep. That affects physical consumption, which might also affect physical activity. And all in all, then it determines your placement along this continuum. Does that make sense? And you're either moving one way or not. You're never constant because that age is moving you. So it's fighting that, but it's also fighting all the other things. And you can do things. You can do one thing at a time that's going to help you move. So the goal at the end of the year is to have a better position, your total position on that health continuum. So make your decision and then do this. Okay, this is bonus information. You make your decision and then you talk to someone who knows you well and you trust. And you ask them these two things. First, Do you think this is really something that is realistic for me right now and I can do it? Make sure they know that you really want their honest feedback because people want to just tell you what they think you want to hear, even if they're good friends. But if they're a good friend, they'll tell you the truth. And maybe you need to make some adjustments based on their feedback. Maybe not. The second, will you support me? We'll talk about the details and how to best structure that support, in a future broadcast. So I guess I am selling something. Future episodes, because I have so much I want to tell you about and share with you the latest research. It's just so exciting. But for today, we need you to make your decision and start your journey to better health. One strand, one change. That's all it takes to start your journey to better health. If you want an explanation of the entire Health Continuum Framework right now, you can see the link to my book in the show notes, or you can just keep listening each week, as I think we'll cover most of it and then some by the end of the year, or you can do both. If you would subscribe and like, it helps. Send me any questions. I'd love to hear from you. It's going to be a great year. Can't you just feel it? Let's do it together. John Jesse with the Health Continuum. Have a happy and healthy day.